Web's diary, and then take it on whenever you would like, Missy. I'll still handle the people coming in and out, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, I was supposed to say, I don't know how to do that. I don't think I have the power to do that, but otherwise,
You could
we
do
should be
that.
good.
You could do that. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Let's see. All right, what's up, guys? How are y'all?
Good. Hi, James. I haven't seen you in a
Hello,
while.
Lindsay. How are you?
Good. How are you doing in Cali? My little Cali buddy.
Pretty good. It's nice
Yeah.
and sunny and warm here. Yep.
Yeah. Remind me what you're like SoCal, right? Or no, where are
Yeah, pretty much Southern California, but I'm about 2 hours north of Los Angeles.
yeah, okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm like east, like an hour east of San Francisco. So I have like but yeah, we've had nice weather. We had a mild summer overall. Pretty
Yeah,
nice.
it's been nice.
Yeah, cool.
Nice. Okay, so we have a pretty small group. So obviously, I already know Lindsay and Autumn, but I would definitely love to make this kind of interactive. So, James, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am 49 years old.
Hmm.
I've been in a wheelchair since I was 22.
Hmm.
Work accident. I'm a T12 L1 complete injury.
Okay.
I live in California. I'm married and have no children.
Okay. Very cool. Fun stuff. I think the only other person here I don't know is Michelle, maybe. Might be putting her on the spot. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. All right, we'll leave it be. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so basically, once again, well, first of all, I guess I should say I'm Kaylan. I am one of the Will With Me Foundation board members. I am fondly known as their token able body. And I'm also like their friendly neighborhood PT. So I'm here to do the really obvious thing and talk about PT things with you guys. And also talk a little bit about what it looks like after kind of that initial rehab stay, which is also is kind of great, James, that you have been injured for so long and have probably been through so much because most of what I'm here to talk about is what things look like way down the line for people and like what it looks like throughout the continuum of life too. So I have a couple slides to put together. It's definitely nothing crazy. So let me see if I can get them to. Oh, I have to be able to be allowed to share things.
Oh yeah. So maybe Bree can make you the host. I don't have that ability.
You
Bree,
should be able to share now, I think.
Okay, cool. Nice. Okay. It's also not the biggest deal in the world if this doesn't work. Screen. Sure. Okay, tell me if you guys are able to start seeing anything.
not yet.
Oh, it says I am the host now. Are you guys able to see my
That
screen?
helps. See if that helps now.
Okay. Does not look like it's doing it yet, but let me try again. Once again, not the end of the world if not. Um, it's not loving this. Okay, forget it. We're just not going to do that. It's not living that. We'll just chat and I'll just go off of these. Yeah. Okay, so basically, one of the things that I just kind of wanted to put out there, which probably everybody already knows, I am a PT. I am not your PT. So I just have to like kind of throw that little disclaimer out there for you guys. So any recommendations I make are super general. Like I'm just kind of throwing things out there that I know work for people. If anything comes up that you are particularly interested in, I want you to talk to your physician and your physical therapist and make sure that things actually would work out both from like a safety and a like efficiency perspective for you with anything we talk about. Just want to make that like clear. I can't answer like super specific questions and stuff because you guys are not under my current plan of care. But I love like talking about kind of general things as well, and also even pointing you towards resources that could help with that. So that's kind of the first thing. The next thing, let me figure out how I'm going to do this now. Okay, so what do you guys know about like after you've been in your inpatient stay? What do you know about like how kind of rehab goes after that? Because we're definitely going to be chatting if we're this small of a group. I need you guys interacting.
Wait, what did you say? What do we know about rehab?
Like, what do we know about the next phases of rehab after you're out of like your initial inpatient rehab phase? Like, what does that look like to you?
I think it looks different for everybody. I don't know if my camera's on right now because I'm driving. But like, so for me, I had rural rehab,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually just recently talked to a girl who got no rehab um, at all, and so we'll probably be talking about that later personally because I have some questions on how to help get her started. But I think that it really depends on like geographical location.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the recommendations put forth by the hospital that maybe that you go to upon injury, because I know that there are more specified rehab places around me, but I
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't informed of them at that time. And so for me, like rural rehab was my inpatient stay. Then I went back outpatient for, gosh, I want to say probably like 3 or 4 days a week for quite some time until I kind of like plateaued, so to speak, right? And then I think that became the biggest barrier is the time that I plateaued onward until right gaining the right amount of strength, whatever that may mean. I say right in parentheses. I don't even feel like I've actually hit that point yet, but yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents for me and what I see
Mm-hmm.
after inpatient stay.
Yeah. And you're totally correct that that varies greatly based on like an area that has like a ton of resources, but versus like an area that's a lot more rural. And even just in general, you can be in some bigger areas sometimes and still be like, I am a spinal cord injury PT by trade. That's how I ended up with all of these peeps. That's what I do. That's what I love. And it can even vary. Places that have big hospital systems may still not have programs that are designated specifically for that diagnosis. And it makes a really, really big difference when you're with someone that actually like knows the diagnosis and the program is set up to support you versus like somebody else out there like doing a good job trying their best but not really having access to the resources, not knowing.
Right. Like their specialty is stroke and they're doing an okay enough job in rehab, but they're not used to that spinal cord injury and some of the nuances that come along with that movement or things like that.
Mm-hmm. So I guess like how prepared did you feel to get the most out of your outpatient experience at that point, like with a more traditional like outpatient stay? Anyway.
For me personally, like I still look back and I feel ill prepared. And that was actually something that came up in our conversations yesterday in empowerment was just like how that's not how things aren't linear, right? And how um I'm almost, well, we'll say 23 and a half, so almost 24 years post injury, and I'm like learning things and finding tools now that I didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
ability to have back then, right? And knowing that I'm like rolling into 40 this year and I'm still gaining different forms of independence.
And that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about tonight. Like, I mean, we can talk about all the like really formal things, but I want to talk about it in general, what you're saying exactly, but also just how things have changed over time so much too, and how there are so many more resources out there and so many like different ways that you can kind of take care of yourself now too. And particularly, I feel like you can probably attest to this, particularly being in a rural area, getting involved in or getting kind of connected to people like Will with me and like organizations like that are kind of allow you to talk to other people, allow you to see resources that are out there and kind of figure out what you might need for yourself next and tap into that.
Yeah, I was gonna, I can chime in too. I was like talking and I realized my mic was muted. But yeah, so for me, I am in like a bigger, I'm in like near, a lot of resources. But I didn't even know, there's this really well known like spinal cord injury rehab place called SCI Fit. Yeah, and it's like I didn't know about it, and my insurance doesn't cover it.
Mhm.
So I went to like so my rehab facility is through Kaiser,
Mhm.
and the initial stuff was great, and they were like it was a spinal cord injury like rehab, yeah, facility, and then the transition though to the PT at like the place near my house was so embarrassing. Like it was embarrassing, and she was embarrassed. She was like, I don't know anything. She told me, she was like, I don't know anything about spinal cord injuries. You should probably go to this place called SCI Fit. And I was like, what's that? And so then I looked into it, and my insurance didn't cover it, but I was curious about it because for me, it was like I don't have any spasms at all. So I was like super concerned about my bone density
Mhm.
and like a couple other things. And so to go from this PT who was basically like, I don't know what to do with you, to this like huge facility that was like, oh girl, we got you. It was like really, really, it was really helpful. And it made me feel like hopeful. And they had like so many resources. But I remember thinking like, I didn't even know anything about this. And it was like really, yeah, I don't know. It was discouraging at first because I was like, unfortunately, the PT that my insurance covers is like shit, and yeah. But anyway, we figured it out. I found a grant and like kind of worked it out. But it was cool to feel like way more empowered once I found this like specific place where people knew what the hell they were doing.
You don't know what you don't know. And until you find people and you start to build that network where you're actually like seeing people that kind of know what's going on, you have no idea what you have access to and what you have available, which is part of why we do what we do and why I'm like on the board, like trying to like kind of help and like throw some of those things out there too, because you're right. Like until you go to a place where people actually like not only and there's a certain point too of like there are people that know what they're doing, but also people that know enough and know it like have a good enough network where like, huh, yeah, I can figure that out. Like I live in this world, I live in this bubble, and I know how to get people what they need within like kind of this world, this bubble. So I think that makes a really big difference too. Okay, so to me, I was kind of like mapping this out a little bit as I was thinking about how I was going to talk about this. So the way that I kind of see um, rehab, like after like PT, like whatever it looks like after you're in that initial like rehab stay, are traditional outpatient, like what we've been talking about. And then honestly, Lindsay gives me kind of a nice segue because yours being more of like that cash pay, like grant based type thing, that's kind of an area of PT that some people are able to tap into, and then occasionally you're able to kind of get into things like that. I actually work in a program like that. So I'm at Shepherd Center and I work in a program that is very much probably similar to what you were doing there. That's all cash pay grant based. That's not necessarily something that everybody can do. There are more resources out there than people think sometimes if you want to do that. And that's something that I'm willing to like talk through starting points with people. But you also don't have to do that either. But I think it's a vital thing to put out there for people that there are programs like that, because some people even like either they're in an area where they're not getting what they need and there's no one close by that can do what they need, and or they get to a point where they've kind of leveled out of basic things and they need more of a challenge, they need more, they're looking to level up their lives. And if you're that person, it's nice to know about things like this and resources that are available. There's also a third form that I want to talk about, which is our maintenance and wellness type phase. Everyone thinks that that is just the most awful thing in the world. You start talking to people about, okay, well, we're discharging and we're not going to do this anymore. And we're now moving to like more of a maintenance wellness program. And people think that that is the end of the world. Like, they think that, oh, that means that I can't do anything anymore. Like, I've reached my potential. No, no, no. To me, that is like one of the best places you can possibly be, like after an injury like this. And there are so many more things out there that you can do, and it allows you to go back to living your life. So some people that have been out injured a little bit longer, I don't know, like, what do you think about, do you think that you've been in a maintenance and or wellness phase? And like, what does that look like to you?
I think my whole life is maintenance. It's like this ebb and this flow. And I like speak as a mom too when I say this because like that balance. And I think that it's like that for everybody. But like for me, my struggle with balance comes in motherhood, and trying to balance that. And it wasn't until recently, thank you to some of the people on here today, that I really realized, just like that it's okay that I'm not maybe where I want to be. Even though I'm always like, oh, the compare game is real. And social media paints these pictures that maybe aren't real. And so that's part of it is, oh, I get on myself like, oh, you're injured for 23 years. Why can't you do these things? Right. Like, and it wasn't until really recently where I was able to be like, because you prioritized other things.
Hmm?
Because that's why, right? Like, because you prioritized other things. It's not because you're not capable of it. Sometimes it wasn't because it was because you didn't have the right tools. Um, and so like right now in my life, again, rolling into 40, like I'm in this new form of maintenance where like I am really working hard to be a stronger version of myself because I'm feeling more of that shoulder pain. I'm feeling the hormones and having that inability to like stabilize my weight, which has always kind of been a yo-yo, but now it's like, what the hell? And so I think that it's this constant ebb and flow of trying to figure shit out, knowing that our bodies are ever changing because that's just what the human body does. And then like amplify that with like all of the things that kind of come along with those those extra things, right? That people don't think about. Well, we do, but like, right, like the rest of that world, like those invisible things, like the bowels, the bladder, the skin, the mental health, just those like everyday barriers that you have to contend with. And so, yeah, that's my super long answer. It's constant, right?
Hmm? Yeah. No, that's
And to
perfect.
kind of play off what she was saying, that kind of maintenance stuff is it's going to change all the time, right? Like because you don't know what you don't know. First 10 years, I didn't have access to resources and all these things. And I thought I was like independent enough. Like I was able to do certain things. Yeah, if I fall out of my chair and go on the floor, I'm probably gonna have to call 911 if I'm alone in my apartment, but I still didn't feel any less independent. So like there's times where I feel like I did hit those maintenance stages, but then I realized, ooh, now I want to do a different level. And I think that will change throughout the time. Um, but I don't think a lot of people think about the long-term maintenance though. And that was me. I'm just like, I'm gonna go hard balls to the wall for 3 years. And then all of a sudden my health came to a crashing halt this year. And that changed all of my goals and how I look at maintenance and stuff moving forward. So I think there's kind of like last night's conversation, there's still a lot of fluidity even in the physical side of all this too.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know how to navigate the system well too, which is part of why I wanted to open up like a conversation about that tonight. And this could turn into a much bigger conversation. It's kind of like hard to generalize too much, but like I think that exactly like what they're saying is like there's a point where you have to give yourself grace for where you're at and know that there are other priorities in your life. And I actually think that that's the most healthy mindset you can possibly have. And we're going to get to that later. I wish you could see my slides because I say that very strongly on one of them, but it's fine. But like having the grace and being able to find that balance, but also like knowing how to navigate the healthcare system and get what you need and get to who you need is so challenging. So like most people, they're just like, this happens to you. You've never had to know how to do this before. Like you were probably fine before. You like maybe went to the doctor for a cold here and there, like whatever. And then you have this catastrophic injury that changes your entire life. And you're like, oh shit, I've got to like not only like take care of myself, but I've got to keep track of all of these other things. And I've got to like learn how to live in this new body and like get myself in a mental space to be able to manage myself. Like it's insane, y'all.
And
Like
trust the
it's
system that like will
insane.
fully admit to us that they aren't familiar with what we're going through, right? And so like we're already not trusting ourselves
Huh?
because we don't know what we don't know. And so we're like, sweet, let's go to the professionals. And then
Mhm.
we're like, shit, wait, what?
This
You
professional doesn't
don't
know either.
you don't know? Like I know more now at this point than you do, and I'm teaching you how to, for me, it was change my ostomy bag. Like my healthcare nurse straight up had no clue. No clue. She's like, I pulled up a YouTube video. Like and she was so great. Like I got into like a wound clinic inpatient, right? Because we had that, but that didn't help me with that home health care. But yeah.
This is where the at this point in my career and at this point in kind of like the way that I've like done different things, like, I told you I'm in kind of a little bit different of a program like now too, that's like not that I'm not really dealing with insurance anymore, and I'm in a place, and like even with what I do for that nonprofit and some other things, I myself personally try to fill like a consultative role for people as well. And once again, that has to be within reason, because like, PT, I'm not your PT, but like, finding I've for a long time been trying to find ways that I can help people figure out how to navigate that thing, because it's so damn hard to navigate this system, and it is not for you. And it's just tough. And I hate that. I literally, being on this side of it, I hate that. I battle it all the time. But like getting to a point where you're teaching people how to advocate for themselves, you're teaching, like, making educated consumers. That's what I say all the time. People are going to choose what they're going to choose. They might not be in the headspace to take in what I'm going to tell them, but making sure that I'm educating them enough, and also knowing that I'm in their corner enough to help them figure out how to navigate things like that. But it's tough, and you're never going to figure it out in one fell swoop. But like, I think that one of the biggest things that you can do is build your network. And that's build your network of your peers, build your network of your providers that you find that actually do know what the hell they're talking about.
Or the ones willing to learn, right? Like I'm cool with that
Everyone's
too.
willing.
I'm so cool with that. Like if
You
you
love
are
willing to
willing
learn.
to like have this conversation, and then you're a doctor and you're willing to say, hey, I'm not really quite sure, but you know what? Like I know I have these tools. I know where to figure it out. I know some of my colleagues or colleagues that I've gone to school with, and those people that are willing to grow like with us.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people have come to see me at Shepherd and done like a 6 week stay, like, and like, come to see like me and like my peeps in my program and stuff, and then after that been like, hey, I'm going back to this PT, but like, we talk to them, like, will you like, provide some like feedback and stuff? And in most cases, they're going to be like open to it. And this is not me trying to come in and dictating everything they do, right? But like, in a lot of cases, it's open to some, like, open up some really nice areas of a collaboration where, like, since they were under my plan of care and they were my responsibility to where I know them well enough, I can then pass some of that along, because willing to learn is good. We like willing to learn. And like at that point, if you have the right network, then you can have people educated on what to do as well and try to figure some of that out. And it goes from a peer thing too. Like, it's a beautiful thing to have a network of peers, like exactly what we're doing right now, exactly like this nonprofit where, you're getting the lived experience to then be like, huh, maybe I should ask my doctor about that. Maybe I should go ask like my PT about that. And that was
Go
kind of what
find
my whole
out.
point with saying that, like with that disclaimer and stuff, is like, yeah, I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff that's good for the general population that I've seen over time. But like, you also have to build your network to then figure out how to go about that and make sure you have people in your corner that you can trust, that are caring for you, that know what they're doing and or are willing to learn.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah. What are, I mean, so I'm curious, James, have you had any like aha moments? Like, you've been injured for a while now. Have you had any aha moments where you're like, wow, it's kind of like I didn't know what I know now, and it's like really kind of changed the way I think about how to navigate a healthcare system and how to navigate getting what I need.
Yeah, like without a doubt. For me, it was more got hurt, hospital stay, went to rehab, stayed there for a couple weeks, and then did outpatient. And then, other than seeing my spinal cord doctor, every once a year or once every 6 months, or if I had an issue, that was pretty much it. Um, but like I come across that all the time where it's just like, wow, I don't like like Autumn said, I don't even know what I don't know. Like I just, you know, kind of, and then especially with being in the Will With Me Adapt Fit program and talking to Jesse um and everybody who's associated with it is just like, man, I just never knew that I could even ask for stuff like this or
Mhm.
how to go about finding out stuff like that, like I just, and I still find myself like that.
Mhm. But that's also okay. Like, it's one of those things too where like we don't want to like beat ourselves up and obsess over it, but we do want to surround ourselves with the right people in the right network to make sure that we have the right equipment and the right setup and the right information to like live life to the fullest, right?
Right.
That's kind of how I think about it, at least. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I can add something real quick because I just had this like I had a moment of clarity, I guess something like that last year. So when I first went to I did SCI Fit and I had really clear goals around like it had to be walking. I was like, I have to be walking, get me walking all the time. That's all I want to do, get whatever it takes, right? Like get me up in those machines and get me going. And that was like all I ever like really thought about, and that's all I focused on. And it's like as I progressed and kind of learned more about my spinal cord injury and like what my body actually needed, it was like it's not walking, babe, it's not, and but I had to like find that by myself, or like not by myself, but I had to kind of like, because they were, I mean, this place that I went was like really open to being like, sure, yeah, we'll strap you in and get you up and going, and like, so because they're activity based training
Mhm.
model. And I was like, cool, it sounds amazing. And I felt really good about that. And then as the kind of time went by and I was like, wow, I'm really not like gaining these gains that I thought I was going to gain. I refocused and like kind of made it my own treatment rather like than something that I thought I like the only thought, my thought was like the only way I'm going to be like okay and good is probably a lot of people, but like is like I have to walk. Like this is like non-negotiable. And then it was like I had to come to terms with like, you know what, babe, this isn't probably going to be until there's like huge breakthroughs in science. So I reevaluated everything, and I came back with like way more, I think, realistic goals for myself, which were like improve my core strength, get my stamina up, like, yeah, stuff like that, where it was like, but it felt really confusing at first because I was like, I kind of let them take the lead and they were like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to walk. And they're like, okay, so here's what we'll do. And it was like, I don't know. No one actually really like was, I think, in this space initially was, and they didn't know too because it was like fresh. And
Right.
I have transverse myelitis, which like it can like there are other people with the same condition who were walking, so I was like, oh, okay, so that's me. But like it ended up being that my spinal cord injury was a complete spinal cord injury, so anyway, I thought it was like, I think to this day I'm still navigating like what progress and what success looks like for me, and it
Mhm.
looks really different than I thought it would look like 2 3 years ago. you know,
Mhm.
like I'm learning what I need and I'm learning how to communicate it.
And that's important. Like, and I see that literally
Yeah.
every day, all
Right.
the time. Everybody wants to walk. Everybody wants to walk. And like, I don't blame them. That would be my first reaction too. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit here and act like I wouldn't, right?
Right.
But I will say that one of the biggest points that I make to people when they're kind of like on that cusp of like you, where it's like, I mean, once again, I'll say like, I'm not God, so I don't know. But what I can tell you is what I'm seeing, right? And like what the prognosis is for this and this and that. Like what I can tell you is that there are a few ways that we can see what's going to happen, like with your body, and we can put some time and energy into that. And like we see it happens, right? But beyond that, the thing that anyone can do for themselves is just take care of themselves. Jesse is the perfect example of this. Like the perfect, besides maybe like, breaking her rod several times. I fuss her about that frequently for what it's worth. But all the other things, and she knows this too, all the other things, all the other things that she does for herself, as far as like caring for herself and making sure that she's in a physical standpoint, like a physical place to be just generally healthy, right? And to get herself upright and to try to keep her mindset in a good place and stuff. Those are all the things that everybody needs at a base level. And if you're doing those things for yourself, if you're going to walk, you're going to walk. Like it's not like you're cutting yourself short on anything, like at a certain point after you've given it everything you've got in that initial like period, if you're just taking care of yourself, you're not going to lose. There's no way that you lose. Like from your friendly neighborhood PT, there is no way you lose when you take care of yourself. When you do get your core strength the best you can, like within reason. When you do make sure that you're not getting pressure ulcers. When you do make sure you're not getting contractures. When you do make sure your spasticity is like well managed. When you are getting yourself upright and making sure that you're not getting, UTIs left and right, like to the best of your ability and updating, like keeping your bowel program. Like when you are keeping yourself in a good, healthy place, there are no losses there. And if you continue to do that with a few of the proven things that hopefully you've found your friendly neighborhood PT that actually gives good advice and stuff, it's either going to happen or it's not. And just like you said about the scientific advances too, I've looked at so many people and been like, they're like, oh, well, like, Elon's going to put a chip in my back. I'm like, cool, that could actually happen in your lifetime, but you now have a ankle plantar flexion contracture of like 20 degrees because you didn't stand and you didn't do anything. So you're not going to be a candidate for that. And I hate to be blunt, but that's kind of the point that I have to come to with people where you're having to get in touch with your body and you're having to figure out, like you said, how to take care of yourself first and make sure that you're putting yourself in an optimal position to live your life either in your chair, if that's what it comes to, or where when those scientific advances come out, you are like primo candidate. Like, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I feel like, yes, it's like be ready as you can be. And I think also like I've turned 41 this year, and I'm also like I'm trying to stay as healthy as I possibly can, like regardless of walking, whatever. But I
Mm-hmm.
also am very aware that being seated as much, as much as I am, there are risks. This is real, right? So yes, it's like I think again, it's like reevaluating what it actually looks like to take care of myself, because that looks really different than it did both before my injury and before I hit 40. It's like it's just that's fine too, but it's interesting because I feel like it's like a double whammy now, because it's like I have to think about osteoporosis and all these things at 40 versus like, something that before my injury I was not going to probably be worried about osteoporosis. But so anyway, and it's interesting because I feel like sometimes in PT settings, in my experience, like those things aren't necessarily talked about as much. And it's like maybe that's just not, in my experience anyway. And I kind of wish it was more holistic in that way, where it's like, I hear you that you like, I mean, I think I hear you and stay healthy, but what does that mean? Like, what does that look like? Like yeah, that's just what
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things that I talk to people about, and that like what like we all talk to people about here. But once again, it goes back to like not everybody knows spinal cord injury the way we do here and the way like other places do. So building your network and making sure you're talking to people that like do already know these things, that have been living the life and stuff, is also just so, so, so important. Because you're right, all of those things are probably, they're not going to seem like the most important thing to people right away, but they are ultimately for longevity the most important things. And there are ways that you can combat it. Like, what are like, I mean, if you sometimes you get a little lucky if you have some spasticity because it pulls on your bones more and helps maintain your bone density. Standing frames can help a little bit. They're not necessarily going to do as much as like getting ground impact, or actually like, pulling on your bones is going to, but they do help some. And even things like if you respond to e-stim, having an e-stim machine where you have your muscles pull on your bone, that also can help with things like that. Like there's a variety of things that can be done if you're thinking about your life in terms of longevity and like things like that versus, the very warranted initial reaction of, oh, no, 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 I've got to be able to walk again. Like, yeah,
yeah, it's the only frame of reference you have, like,
it's
and
the only time reference you have. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're like, I mean, what the fuck do you mean? What goals do I have? What are you talking about? And it's like, oh, like, yeah, a couple years later, I'm like, okay, now I see what they're saying. Like, there's
Yeah.
totally, yeah.
It takes a minute for sure. For sure. For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd have everybody go through, a good inpatient rehab, outpatient therapy that's covered by insurance by somebody that actually knows what the hell they're talking about. And then I'd have everybody and like have an opportunity to be in an activity-based therapy program, like what I work out of right now. Because I think for me personally, when you go to that point of like inpatient rehab is just get you home, get you safe, whether that's by yourself, whether that's with help, like get you educated enough to be able to go home and kind of take care of yourself. Insurance days are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and it sucks. We educated as much as possible, but they're getting shorter. With outpatient, at that point, to me, it is then trying to, if there's something that you're still not independent on as far as like at a base level from your inpatient stay, we're getting that right away. We are then trying to capitalize on more difficult transfers, more intense balance situations, continuing to educate because most people do not take it in right away. There's definitely a big gap of where you're having to have some like realization of what's happening to your body and starting to get a little more attuned to that. And then kind of being able to take in some of that a little bit more. And then you're in a perfect world, you're starting to set the framework of going back to, doing some leisure activities, doing some sport activities. And you're probably not going all the way into that, but you're getting yourself to a place where, wow, I'm doing so good at everything else right now. Like we're going to start doing like working towards some of this. I personally find that there's a pretty big drop off between when people do leave like in their inpatient stay to when they go home, where you live in a bubble when you're in the hospital. And it's both the hardest time of your life because you have just had to deal with this, but you're also in like this fight or flight mode where you're in survival mode. You're like, oh no, I just got to do it. And I'm also in this place in a perfect world when you're in a rehab that like specializes in it. You're in there with all other people that are kind of going through what you're going through too. And it sucks. I'm not trying to say it doesn't suck, but it's a bubble. You live in a bubble. And then you think, oh, I want to go home and I want to do like life is different. Your world is different. Your circle is different when you get out. And that's where I see people have the biggest drop off, actually. And then that's why, like, when I was doing more of a traditional outpatient previously, I would try to get those acute injuries in as quickly as possible, give them a week or two at home, maybe, and then get them back in and start helping them sort out what it looks like to live in a world that's not created for them and that doesn't look the way it did before they went into the hospital, too. And so I personally think that part of traditional outpatient is just get a totally different level of coping.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a totally different world too, where, okay, well, everybody wants to be in therapy forever. So this is another big thing that happens. Everybody wants to be in therapy forever. Your therapist becomes your personal trainer. Your therapist isn't supposed to be your personal trainer. We are not supposed to be your personal trainer. We're trying to work ourselves out of a job. I've actually changed my frame of that. I'm trying to work myself into a consultative role. The way that I personally, since I did like traditional outpatient for a long time, the way I personally see your outpatient, your friendly neighborhood, SCI, physical therapist is that we're going to keep you for a long time afterwards to talk about all the things we just did, but we're still going to be in your corner and we should still be in your corner. I see it as more of a primary care type model. And if you find somebody you like and you find somebody that knows how to take care of you well, you should also consider them kind of almost like a primary care. Whereas you can't be in therapy all the time. You just can't do it. You can't be your personal trainer. It's just not going to happen. There's 100 other people that we got to see that need us more than you in those situations. And that's the unfortunate fact of it. And also just that you have to start having some of your own self-efficacy to do things on your own too, in between these bouts. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But at that point, you're checking in. God forbid something goes wrong or you start having a ton of shoulder pain. It's a good reason to go see them. They can try to help you get things going. If you start having a ton more return and stuff, that's a really good time to come back and try to do some of that. If you get to a point where you feel like you have truly maintained what you had when you left them and you're just like killing it at life and you're like, wow, I think I can do more. That's a good time to go back and see you. When I would discharge people previously, I'd have them for that nice long stint, try to get them in the best place they could be, educate the hell out of them the entire time and like kind of keep them on my roster on the background and say, all right, cool. I need you to go home. I need you to do these things. I need you to maintain these things. If you call me in under 3 months from when I discharge you, you're not coming back. It's not going to happen. In some cases, in under 6 months, like you have to do these things. And if you are not doing these things and you come back and you are not doing better, we're probably going to have a problem because there has to be a level of starting to do that kind of like trade-off too, right? And so a lot of people, what I think that a lot of therapists do wrong is I think a lot of therapists make themselves too invaluable and make themselves too ingrained in people's lives to where they cannot do anything for themselves. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a big fan of staying in people's lives and being consultative and being like in their corner and doing things. I don't want you to be dependent on me. A good therapist doesn't want you to be dependent on them. That's not what should be happening. It's like if you had to go see your PCP every day because you didn't know how to take your meds or like things like that. Like it shouldn't be that way. It can't be that way. There has to be a point of handoff where I personally think that a good PT is worth their weight in gold. I know so many good ones that do function almost in this like kind of primary care role where it's like, yeah, if you got a question, you're going to call us and like, we're cool with that. Yeah. Like you're going to come back and see us every now and then for like a tune up, right? Or because you want to try something different, but like, you got to have real goals. You have to have real goals. You have to have real like functional gains that need to be made. Or if something goes wrong, we're also the people that you really should be coming to see because we're going to help you with that shoulder injury. We're going to help you if you have like issues with a, wound and there's some things that need to be modified, kind of like what Bree had issues with recently. Like that's really where like a traditional outpatient PT should fall more. We can't be your personal trainer. But that's where we go to the next phases of life. So there's like these activity-based like programs like that'll be like a boot camp and kick your booty in gear. They're going to get you to the maximal level of your like neurologic potential, like wherever you are with that. They're going to help you get back to, sports or leisure activities that you might want to do that like a normal like outpatient PT probably couldn't bill for, but you can get them back to that. They're going to help you access the grants. That's what I do. I do that all the time. I'm helping with like a bike grant right now for somebody that I just discharged a few weeks ago, like with Kelly Brush Foundation, because part of what we did when she was here was I got on a bike. We went with it. Um, but there's those, and those, like I said, those can kind of go either way. Those are not for everybody, and those are good to, if you do want to do one of those, you got to look at like your funding, and you've got to talk to that program and kind of see if you're a good fit for that program, because that's important. Like you're investing yourself into that. But then we get to maintenance and wellness. And I told you, everybody hates it. They think it's a bad word. It's my favorite. It is my absolute favorite, because when people are doing maintenance and wellness well, and at that point I'm involved in it, but I'm involved on like a consultative basis, that's when people are thriving. Like to me, that is my personal opinion. That is when people are truly, truly thriving at that point. It takes a while to get there, and it's okay if it takes a while to get there. Like once we, I think, I don't remember who said this, but it's not linear, and that's okay. So I want you guys to give me some examples of what maintenance or wellness would look like for you.
For me right now, it's just trying to stay consistent in my working out, rebuilding my strength,
Mm-hmm.
getting stronger with my transfers that I never really did.
Mm-hmm.
I see Bree popping in mobility stretches, like
Yep.
same. Like I try to make sure I there was quite a few years that I really don't think I stretched much, guys. Like honestly, like maybe my foot when I was having a spasm, right? Like,
Yep.
but I wasn't like consistent about it. And like you said, like some of my got some tightness in the feet and the ankles, and um, so yeah, just really trying to be mindful and being in tune. A lot of people don't talk about is like we really can be so in tune with ourselves and truly know if we stop to listen, right? If we stop and just absorb and listen to the things that our bodies are doing and telling us that we do need. And I found that when I do take those moments, and sometimes it's food, and sometimes it's a stretch, and sometimes it's a freaking cry, right? But like just trying to listen to that a little bit more, instead of telling it to shut the hell up, I'm busy, has been helpful.
But I'm gonna counter that. I love all of those things. Those things are beautiful, and I'm very proud of you. But what are you doing for fun? What are you doing that fills you up that you would just enjoy?
This. Right?
Yeah.
Like building this community has been like the best thing probably for the past, I would say, a couple of years for me. And it's it's something that I didn't have before, right? A wheel community. And one thing that I don't even know if we were talking about it yesterday, if I was talking about it to a friend, is after my injury, I had the biggest, like we're talking hundreds, if not thousands of people that like knew me, knew my story, that were there in my corner. And I'm not saying I don't have those people, but they're really not there because their lives have moved on, and their lives are filled with their own lives, right? Not seeing and witnessing the barriers that remain today, right? Like when injuries are fresh, they're fresh for everybody, but I think that the rest of the world doesn't realize that there's a freshness to it every day for us when there's things that we battle. And so building this wheel community, and just meeting like-minded people and having these conversations, that's what helps me heal. And then the other thing, since I did start working out with the Wheel with Me Fit app, and after like so many years of Jesse being like, "What the fuck, Autumn, let's go," and Bree, and like, right, having that community. I was asked to be like an adaptive fitness instructor at my chiropractic office, and so that's my new journey, which is wicked. Because if
Which is
anyone's like,
so needed in a rural community.
and
We're
it's so
so proud
funny
of
because
you.
if someone was like, "Oh, Autumn, like you're a fitness instructor," no, I'm a wheelchair user that works out. That's what I say. Like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm a wheelchair user that works out, and I go based on the things that I've learned and my own experiences. But that's been the cool new thing that is bringing me joy. That 6 months ago, so if someone would have told me that, I would have been like, "You're full of shit." There's no way I would do that.
So you are now representation and providing for a
Yes.
community that clearly needs it, because you've clearly had a hard time finding what you need in that community. So yeah, you are becoming what you need in that community, which we love. Anybody else? Who else got something for me?
I can go. For me, what I found is something that brings me joy that I am so super grateful. I was able to find a hand cycle that like attaches to my wheelchair. So
Mm-hmm.
I can like go independently and just go for bike rides outside. I do that every single day. And it's like I mean, it's to me like it's so much more that I could ever dream of in terms of just getting outside, feeling the wind on my face, and like getting moving. It's like changed my whole life. Like since my injury, it's been so. That's why. So I'm like Kelly Brush, absolutely. Like all these grants and all these activity, like adaptive gear, is like life changing. And so for me, it's that. It's my going in my standing frame every day. I'm really grateful I was able to get an FES bike. So I do the FES bike, and because I don't have any spasms. And so I do have to like really stimulate the muscles and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes it feels like a full-time job to like just live in a disabled body. And I'm like, ugh, but the biking feels like it's like the perfect amount of like challenge, but also like reward, just feeling like all the good feels about getting outside. So I'm like really grateful I do that. And then I do the Wheel with Me Fit app as well. And I'm so proud of Autumn for doing it, for doing her thing. And I've actually been kind of inspired to try to like break into my CrossFit community, even though I'm super intimidated by it. But I'm like, I just fucking go. I need to just go and just like not be scared. It's so stupid to be like, but I'm trying to find this other. I actually met this neighbor who uses a wheelchair. He's like not that into it, but I'm like, no, you need to just like come with me and like go. I just need one other person in a wheelchair to come with me. I'm like, I'll
You do.
fly down just real quick and we can go. Because I'm just like, I feel like once I know, and I went to a class and it was like whatever, but I just want like one other wheelchair user to come with me.
Oh, I
So
get that.
come on over here, buddy.
I love all of that, and I love that you talked about the bike because you got to have something that you just enjoy.
Yeah.
Like people miss that when you're obsessing over your rehab and you're doing this. You have to do it for a while. You have to obsess over your rehab for a while, and that's fine. And there are seasons where you have to be more involved with it than others, right? But you also just have to have things that you like. It is so underrated to find things that are healthy for you and good for you that do like go to this ultimate goal of us having longevity and taking care of ourselves and just enjoying it, just finding joy in it. And like that's different for everybody. You don't have to look like everybody else doing that. There are some things that I would argue you like have to do or you should do to like keep yourself healthy. But like there are recommendations for everybody, like right. But there also you have to have something that you like. You have to have something that you want to do. Like you just have to.
Which can be hard
And
to
I,
find,
I,
honestly.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna
It can be
say
hard to
that.
find.
Yeah, joy is
Yeah.
hard. Like
Uh-huh.
joy. It's like there are some days where I'm like joy. What kind of joy, right? Like I literally, and it's sometimes it's like hard to muster it up. And I've found that in the last I don't even know how many years, but I've like become like this pessimistic witch, and that's like not who I am to my core. It really isn't. And so like when I'm recognizing these feelings, and I'm like, well, damn, girl, like what's your problem? It's just to take that time to reflect, to find that joy, right? Because that's what I've been missing is those moments. And like Kaylin, you said it that it could be whatever. Like sometimes it's baking brownies and digging into them when they're warm, and sometimes it's pounding through a awesome workout where my heart rate is like off the charts and like that dopamine is there, right? But like knowing that like joy doesn't just like necessarily come to you per se either, right? Like that's a perceived thing. And sometimes it's a shift in mindset to find that joy and knowing that it's necessary for that mental health, and it's necessary to continue to try to find something that brings you that, just to keep those neurons happy and activating in that form and
Yes.
knowing that it freaking exists, period.
And if you're not seeking those things, if you're not looking for opportunities in your life to go out and do what you want, to interact with your environment, to interact with your family, to interact with your friends, to do what you want to do, if you're not trying to find a way to do that, even though it looks different before, you're not even going to know what you need. In my opinion, you have no idea what you need until you actually say, this is something I enjoyed before. This is something I want to do now. And like, it might not be easy. And like, I'm going to have to kind of take my time to figure it out. But like you've got to find a way to interact with the world again and try to find this joy and figure out a way to do it, even if it looks totally different from what like the person that you were like before you were injured too. Like some people like were like loved. I have like several like younger patients right now that like loved playing basketball and stuff where they can't even look at it anymore, like after injury. And that's okay. But then we're like, hey, let's try this. And they're like, oh, whoa, that's really cool. Like, we have somebody, I can't even remember. she's like really good at basketball before, but then ended up being like a freaking tennis, like wheelchair tennis star. Like, because they decided to like shift focus and then they're so good at it. They love it. Like, it's so good. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to find something that brings you joy to do.
I I'm
And it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. And I was an add-on to that because I have found this kind of thing where it's helpful to find something that you don't have a pre-existing relationship with. Like, like I used to be like a volleyball girl and I was like love volleyball and like I miss it dearly. But I saw like you can do like seated volleyball. I was like, absolutely fucking not. Like I'm not doing that. That does not sound fun. It's not gonna be the same. And so I think biking was like kind of an easier thing. 'Cause I didn't have this like epic like it's like pretty easy to like read, kind of not easy. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
transfer over isn't that different. But like I don't have a previous thing with CrossFit. So it's like I don't have this like thing where I'm like, oh, I miss how it's like this used to feel. So that's why I went with that because it was like I don't have this like pre-existing grief around like that, like that relationship to like how my body was able to engage with this activity. And so I love, I mean, I just want, yeah, I think that's super helpful just for like that was helpful for me to recognize that like I wasn't gonna re-experience the joy of volleyball, like and probably never will. And that's like a grief I have to kind of process, but that doesn't mean I can find other things,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And I think that's so important. Yeah. I mean, I like highly encourage you to get out of your comfort zone with something. Like, I'm not saying you have to go like balls to the wall and like make like, do crazy things that are just going to like send your anxiety through the roof, but like
Yeah.
get out. Like, if there are adaptive sports in your area, try it. Even if it's just like finding a way to get out at different points. Like, if you liked to go to breweries before, if you liked to like do this and that before, find a way, get out, go do it, be outside, move yourself,
Yeah.
like, work on it, like find something that brings you joy. That to me is 10 times more important than anything else because then that's where you find the motivation to do the other things. When you start doing the things that you want to do and you start finding things that bring you joy again, then you go, huh, that'd be a little easier if my transfer was better. Huh, that would be a little bit easier if my core strength was better. Oh, I really want to be able to do this, but I know I talked to, there's this rec therapist I talked to, and they said that, like, yeah, no, cool, but like, we're going to have to work on this a little bit for this to work. That's where you get your motivation. You can't just be doing things to do things. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, especially if you're like, one of those where you've had to deal with the grief of like not being able to walk again. Like, you got to get out there and you've got to be like, all right, well, one step at a time, like just little things to see if I can get myself out there and find something that lights me up, right? That lights a fire in my soul. Like, and that's where I love maintenance and wellness. See if you have any local like adaptive programs near you. And even if you think you might hate it, just try it. And then you start opening yourself up, right? So try it. Just
Yeah.
try something. If you talk to other people in your will community about like anything, like just start trying things so that you can be motivated to have joy to go forward because I can't and also I don't care how good a PT you are, you can't motivate someone that doesn't want to do anything. And sometimes you don't want to do something because like you're so depressed and you haven't found something that's like gives you a spark and brings you joy.
Yeah.
So you gotta start looking for it because that's your motivation. That's what you want to have longevity for. If it's playing with your kids, if it's, I really like I want a dog, but I don't know that I could physically handle it right now. So I've got to kind of like start figuring out what that would look like. I mean, it doesn't matter. And I can tell you right now, anybody like me is going to be like, oh yeah, I love that goal. Let's freaking go. We're going to figure it out. You're going to find the people that are going to support you. You build your network. You're going to do it. It's going to be great. So,
Something, sorry, I just want to say one more
oh
thing.
no, you're good.
I know Bree can't talk right now, but I love whenever I see Bree doing her hula hoop, I'm like, like I feel like that's such a good example of like joy that's like it costs nothing and it's like beautiful and she looks so happy. I'll never forget when I first saw her doing a video. This is before I joined the committee, and I was like, oh, she looks so happy and that's so cool. And like she's all in her element. And I just that's like such a like, hula hoops like what, 99 cents? And you're just like, I can do this. And I just always love that.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So like I feel so like for me, I'm gonna give you my one little like list of keys to success because like we got a couple minutes and I feel like I gotta give some, right? So to me, priority numero uno is get your mind right. You will always, always be your own worst enemy until you do. And it's not that easy and it's also not linear. And that's okay. But until you start taking accountability for like where you're at mentally,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get anywhere. I've had people with the most physical potential completely block themselves from being able to do anything they want to because of that. And once again, I'm not trying to act like that's just some easy thing that you got to be able to do. But what I'm saying is you got to start taking like the small steps to getting to a good place there, or at least knowing your demons so that you
It's
can
your
start
most
to do
powerful
something.
muscle. It really is. And
100%.
it's wicked how much control it really has over the rest of our muscles, no matter how hard we try. So yes,
Yes.
yes.
I have literally discharged people with like tons and tons and tons of physical potential because I've talked to them over and over and over and over again about the accountability that they need to take for their mental health, and tried so hard to be gentle and talk to them and give them resources and stuff, and they've refused to do it. And I've literally discharged them because I'm like, hey, I can't get anywhere with you if you're not gonna show up for yourself.
Yep.
And so I'm here for you. I love you. I'm here when you're ready, but I'm not gonna waste my time and yours until you figure out how to do some of this stuff. And I'm 100% in your corner. I'm gonna give you every resource I got, but we ain't doing it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work. And so I mean, like I'm a pretty big stickler about that. Like when I'm doing things with people. My other thing, we've kind of already talked about this. Do not continue to obsess about your rehab. And this is talking about like once you get to like, a maintenance phase and you don't have an active issue or an active goal or something, like some people can't, like you have to live your life. You need to always give the appropriate amount of respect to being the best that you can be and like doing what you need to do for yourself, but live your damn life. So many people get so caught up in the process and so obsessed with it that they don't even know when to transition. If you were in school when you got injured, go back to school. If you want to go back to work, go back to work. If you want to like try something different and start volunteering with something else, do not let at a certain point, like once again, there's the appropriate amount of time and respect that needs to be given to it based on different phases. But if somebody is looking at you that you know and trust and that's in your network, as far as like one of your medical providers going, hey, it's time to back off on this a little bit. It's time to live your life. You need to live your life. You need to find a way to live your damn life.
Yeah.
Once again, like this is your friendly neighborhood PT saying like I am not supposed to be with you forever every day. That's not the point. We cannot do that. It's not good for you. Like it is not good to stay in this institutionalized mindset for your whole life. It's just not healthy. Have a workout program that works for you. Looks different for everyone. Get out in your community. Find a way to get upright. There are multiple ways to do that. And like once again, this goes back to I'm giving general advice, but I am not your PT. You have to talk to your PT and your physician about this. But like standing frames, long leg braces if it's appropriate. Like the list goes on and on. But being upright does so many good things for your body. It stretches you. It helps you with your spasms. It helps with your bowel and bladder. It helps with bone density to an extent, not as much as some people think, but it does help. It does help. But it is important if you can try to find a way to get upright. Prioritize mobility. I'm so glad you guys said that. If that looks like, just stretching, if that looks like doing some active mobility, if you like to do yoga, there are 100 different ways that you can do adaptive yoga. We have like, Shepherd does like this thing with Burn Along that where we have like multiple adaptive yoga classes that are online. I know that like Jesse and Nikki have multiple mobility workouts as well. I don't care how you do it. Just make sure you are truly trying to move your body. Motion is lotion, people. I don't care where you got it. I don't care how you got it. Motion is lotion. Maintain your shoulder health. If you need help with that, that's a good reason to go back and see your friendly neighborhood PT. Particularly one that's good with spinal cord injury is preferable because they're kind of know what to tell you about stuff like that. But shoulder health, your shoulders, your legs, like you gotta do it. Get your nutrition right. Get your sleep right. Make sure you have enough that you're eating enough protein to support yourself. Make sure that you're staying hydrated so that we're not getting a million UTIs. Make sure you're having enough fiber so your bowel programs don't super suck. Like that's just what it is to it. And get enough sleep so that once again, we're going back to healing, maintaining like, and also even just kind of like that point where we're trying to stay in a mental headspace. I don't know about you, but my anxiety goes through the roof when I don't sleep good. And I don't have half of the stuff to deal with that like what some of you guys do in a day. So I don't even want to think about what it would be like if I was having to deal with trauma on top of that. It would not be pretty. Sleep.
It's not.
Prioritize it. Sleep. Please. And also find people in your network that are talking to you about these things too, because these things are just as important as, and they should be, in my opinion. All of these things that we're talking about right now are as important or should be as important as literally all of the other things, whether you can do your transfer right, whether you can do all those things, because the rest of it starts to fall into line when you get yourself right. But okay, that's my soapbox. That's where we're at.
That was amazing.
Went 2 minutes over. I'm very sorry.
No, I love it. It was very energizing. So the extra 2 minutes is definitely worth it. So thank you, Kaylin, so much for your time tonight, and sharing your wisdom as the friendly neighborhood PT. And now I'm just gonna see you in a Spider-Man suit every time I hear that, honestly. Every
It is
single time you
great.
said that, all I could see is you swinging around the Spider-Man suit across the
I'm gonna
hospital.
wear one to camp next year.
Please do. That's gonna be the best. But as always, that not only thank you for supporting us, you guys, but as I say every time, thank you for showing up for you guys. It's not just about supporting Wheel with Me, it's about your guys' independence and it's about pouring into your guys' self. So I know Michelle and Lori already kind of dipped out, but this is why we do it. So thank you guys for taking that time to listen and to grow yourselves. We have so much more to come this week. Tomorrow we're gonna have Reiki with M. Um, Thursday, we are actually going to have Nikki Welsh at Fit lead a workout, which is amazing. So excited about that. And then Friday, we have Allie Cameron, also known as a Seated Perspective, and she's going to talk to us about content creating in the disability space. So I'm really excited about that call. You guys know how I love my little social media stuff, but have a lovely, lovely night. And thank you all so much for supporting Wheel with Me and for pouring into yourselves. And thank you, Kaylin, for your time. And I hope to see all of you guys again tomorrow. Same time, same place, same beautiful face.
If you happen to get like surveys or something at some point, fill them out. Tell us topics you want. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. If you hated this, that's fine. I don't care. Just tell me. Because we want to continue to give you meaningful things. So do it, please.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.